You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello and welcome back to Wildside, the official Mondo Macabro podcast. I am Ryan Verrill here with my co-host, Mr. Chris Haskell. Chris, welcome back. How we doing?
Hello, happy December / whenever you're listening.
Hopefully soon, because we got some fun stuff to talk about. Because also with the two of us is the one and only Mr. Jared Honor. Hi, Jared.
That's me. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the end of the year, 2025, which means, as per usual at the end of the year, there's a couple things true. We got a year of film to talk about, and we're all still waiting on a Halloween shipment from Mondo Macabro.
waiting.
So we'll get an update on that in a little while. But first, Jared, how's the year been? Because it's been very busy.
It's been busy. It's been not as busy as maybe it could have been, and we had originally planned it to be. I think we had to eventually at some point we dropped one of the pre-order blocks, and sort of shifted things around. So we didn't really get as many things out this last year as we wanted to. So it makes it a bit of more of a quiet year for us, I think, than the last couple of years before that. But the thing is hopefully what we're planning on doing is making up for that in 2026. But I think we'll talk about that a little bit more later on.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about, and 2026 sounds like a prepare yourself sort of year, because it's going to be busy for Mondo Macabro. Seems like this was a year leading up to a larger year, which is very exciting. Chris, how's your year been? You've been kind of globetrotting and busier than ever, it feels like.
Yeah, no, it's been okay, thanks. I the time between like August or September and about a week ago is all like one day in my mind. There was multiple weeks where I was working like 16, 17-hour days. And plus traveling and stuff. So I've put a lot of hours on actually like logging into plane Wi-Fi and working, which I try not to do if I don't have to. But no, I'm alive and excited to talk about this year. I think from a quantity perspective was what y'all were kind of talking about. But from a quality perspective, this has just been a banner year for Mondo, I feel like. Like the titles that did ship and did come out have just been incredible. So I can't wait to dig into it a little bit more. But like there was a thread going, Jared. I don't know how closely you watched the Discord on Vinegar Syndrome, but there was a thread just yesterday where somebody was having a bad day. They saw a movie they hated, and somebody recommended they put on Bohachi Bushido to cleanse the taste in their mouth. And they wrote back about 2 hours later, and they were like, "Yep, that did it.
That did. It worked wonders." Yeah. No, that would be a great movie to put on. And you're right. Yeah, we've done a lot of great stuff this year. I mean, I'm biased, but I think everything we do is pretty damn interesting. It's right. While we have not released a ton of titles, every one of them is something unique and something that is worth people checking out for sure.
That specifically is one thing I was going to bring up as noticing from this year. I've never asked you about this. Do you follow Reddit closely at all, Jared? Do you monitor what is said about Mondo Macabro there?
I don't really. No, I check out Reddit for other reasons occasionally, other things that I'm interested in, but I haven't really looked into the sort of physical media community there.
So there is a subreddit that most of these types of releases are found on. It is the Boutique Blu-ray subreddit, and it is a great community. They're accepting of all kinds of tastes. They promote and discuss and show pictures of labels from all over the world. And one thing that happens often, as in a community as large as this, you can just come to expect it. At least once or twice a month, somebody comes in there and says, "Hey, I'm new to this. What is your favorite X," whether it be genre, whether it be label, whether it be director, what have you. There are large discussions that seem to spur off from these newbie sort of questions. But consistently, I am so proud to say, like, some of the labels that I am closest to and have an affinity for seem to always be near the top of like the highest upvoted of those lists. And Mondo Macabro consistently is usually up there for most curated. Is one that comes up. Like people ask, what is a label that feels like of a mind when they're putting something out? It feels like this was planned from the very beginning. Highest consistency I see associated with Mondo Macabro often. Some of those terms over the last like 25 years, what do you always love to see associated with Mondo Macabro? Because it's such, I mean, the name of the podcast is Wildside because it's so off the wall. What are you proud to see associated with the brand?
I mean, I think that's it, especially that makes me great to hear that people actually are catching on to that. And I think we've talked about it in our many discussions over the years, is that is something we do, is we are curating the films we put out, that it's a passionate thing for us, is that we're pursuing movies that we love. And sometimes things come up that, we look for something and we find something else, maybe that Pete and I weren't even all that aware of, and we find it and it's something that's, does fit our brand anyway. But, and occasionally, very occasionally, we just find stuff that goes, well, maybe we can just sell some of these. But for the most part, it really is something that we strive to achieve, is that sense of a broad spectrum of films that somehow, some intangible quality, they are Mondo Macabro films. It's there's not a lot that connects, maybe like just looking at some stuff we did this year, like Cafe Flesh, Bohachi Bushido, I Hate My Body. Like those are all very different sorts of films, but man, they're all Mondo Macabro movies,
Absolutely.
And if people are catching on to that, and I think they have, and we've been around forever. So it helps that we've had these sort of years and years and years of brand building behind us.
Oh yeah.
But then even new people coming into it seem to catch on to that. It gives me hope for the future that we can continue to do this, because that's what we want to do, and that people seem to appreciate what we do.
It's interesting, kind of building on what you just said. There's this discussion that's kind of bubbling up more and more, and it's to the point where it's almost becoming a pattern, where people are saying that we're just on the cusp of another generation discovering cinema. Like, there's these sort of gaps where everybody who goes through film school kind of just gets older, and then there's another generation coming up behind them. And there's a lot of discussion I'm seeing in different parts of the internet around that next generation who hasn't seen anything. Like they haven't seen Back to the Future yet, let alone, Mondo Macabro. And I feel like that's exciting for y'all, right? Because then as you're getting this reputation, then there's that new like layer of people that say, okay, Shawshank Redemption is not the best movie ever made. Like what else is there? And like they just start digging and digging, and then it doesn't take them long to discover something like Cafe Flesh or Bohachi Bushido if they get into Japanese cinema or whatever. And I don't know, I think that's exciting too.
I think it's really exciting. It's the most exciting thing I think about being in the business of releasing older films, is that you don't want to just be selling films to the same people forever and ever.
Right.
I really, it excites me in a way that I can't even really describe, thinking that there might be generations after generations that will continue to discover the films like we did,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was, I was like 18 or 19, and I just, when I first started watching Akira Kurosawa, and that just blew up into all kinds of Japanese things.
Exactly.
And I think that, you start with one place, and it leads you to this, and it leads you to that, and it leads you to that. And just that sort of idea that is continuing, that there's this just sort of chain of discovery that goes back. And, there's probably, with the availability of things, I mean, there's probably kids who are hopefully like 13, 14 years old who are discovering, maybe not Cafe Flesh, or I Hate My Body, but, or The Punishment. I could go on and on, but are discovering, weird films that, eventually when they are ready, they can find some of the more salacious or weird stuff when they're a bit older. But like, if there are like 13-year-old kids who are discovering Akira Kurosawa, or Martin Scorsese's film from the 70s or something else that really excited me when I was a teenager, that is tremendously hopeful for the future of cinema, because I think a lot in the last few months. I mean, I know you guys have seen it too. Just the endless discourse, because we're at a crisis moment in cinema right now, especially when in regards to theatrical distribution and physical media too. I mean, people keep wanting to write off physical media. It's not going anywhere though, and I don't think theatrical will either. But it's, with all that discourse, it's good to know that there are still always going to be people discovering movies.
Yeah.
There's endless movies to discover.
Yeah. I think just the last thing, I mean, that's kind of the perfect way to end it. But I just think movies like or directors like Teruo Ishii, once you get down to that level, then it actually helps. It kind of cycles back and helps you watch Kurosawa differently. Because
absolutely, yeah,
you just see more, you just see cinema differently, which is exciting, right?
Yeah, I think for me, because I just I watched all those Kurosawa samurai movies when I was a teenager, and then didn't really watch them for years and years, because you go on to Kinji Fukasaku and you go on to Takashi Miike or Takashi Ishii, all these guys. But then a few years ago, I went back and watched a bunch of Kurosawa stuff and found that not only the films held up, but they were enhanced by my increased knowledge of Japanese cinema, history, and culture overall.
Exactly.
All the things I've learned and all the things I've watched. The films were richer then. So absolutely, yeah. And I think everyone who gets into cinema goes through that phase. They start somewhere, and then and you don't even know. It leads you into all different kinds of places. And that's, one of the things that I think Mondo Macabro wants to do is we want to be one of those entities that will shepherd people into places that they didn't expect to go. Because that's what's really exciting, right? Definitely. It's finding shit you didn't even know about. How exciting is that to be like, oh man, I've never even heard of this. Right. This is so exciting. And I think we all go through that every year. I mean, just basically all of us have like lists of our favorite discoveries of each year. There's endless stuff to find out. There's no end to it. From all years, all decades, going back to the beginning, right up till now.
I think the way that you summed up that context of discovering things and then making that appreciate newer versions of those derivative films and then going back to the classics, like that is the perfect summation of physical media. So many of these supplemental features are here to contextualize that cycle and that history and allow you to enhance your knowledge on those things. And a lot of that is found on every single Mondo Macabro disc. So yeah, that is absolutely a perfect way to state it.
Yeah, and we try. I mean, that is another thing too, is, try to put things in context. I think that's another thing we've probably talked about several times here but it's true that, context is everything for these movies. You can watch something out of context and it's fun, but the experience is richer when you have the context. And that can be just the context of watching a bunch of other movies from the same time and place, and then going back, like we were just saying,
Well, let's talk some context on 2025. So films released by Mondo Macabro in 2025 were a Cafe Flesh, beautiful 4K, Bohachi Bushido, mind-blowing, incredible release, Girl Slaves, Morgana Le Fay, The Punishment, the Eva Man double feature, the Greek Films double feature, Forbidden Game of Love, I Hate My Body, and Power of Darkness. As a sort of Mondo Macabro wrapped, which one of these flew off the shelves fast? Which one was like the fastest selling by far?
Well, Cafe Flesh by far. Cafe Flesh is our biggest hit of the last few years, I think. Probably even a little bit bigger than Dr. Caligari from a couple of years ago. It's the thing that's sold the fastest. I mean, we had a 2000 limited edition. It sold out in like a week or two, something like that, back in
last
year when it went on sale.
Although we did have
and retail has done bonkers stuff, especially when we finally put out the retail UHD. It's, I sold a ton during the sale.
We had that 4K that sold out super quick last year, but there's only like 500 of those, right?
Oh, that was from a couple of years ago. The Death Squad, the French film.
Yeah, I they're just out of my now it's slightly blurry in my wall from here, vision range.
You should have the Mondo Macabro collection front and center, constantly.
Right next to the desk. Yes,
that's you right here in the room.
No, I think that was the French exploitation film Death Squad a couple of years ago, and that was a big controversy because we could only do 750 UHDs, which I thought, oh yeah, this will sell out in like a week. And it sold out in like 15 minutes or something.
Right.
Like that.
Absolutely insane.
And then people sent me death threats about it.
So let's say, other than Cafe Flesh, what of the rest of the titles from this year do you feel like got the most discussion going? What's the one that you've heard about the most?
I mean, I think Bahachi Bushido has definitely gotten some discussion and excitement about it. I think Eva Man is something that is... it's not sold in absolutely huge quantities, but the people who have checked it out seem to really appreciate it for a multitude of reasons. So that's one that I think has been talked about a lot, and I think deserves to be talked about. It's a really interesting release of some really fun movies. I think one of the ones that hasn't gotten talked about enough, and I would like to see a little bit more, is Power of Darkness. That is a really interesting movie. Again, the sort of historical context of it being Argentinian during a time of made during a time of a right-wing dictatorship, and the film is kind of just full of a sort of dark, paranoid vision. It's a low-key film for us. It's not like a wild film necessarily, but something just so off the beaten path of most of, of what you're going to find from a lot of other labels. It's, I wish, and just a good movie too. So I just wish more people maybe were talking about that one. Forbidden Game of Love is one that sold pretty well for us right out of the bat. Eloy de Iglesia. He's sort of a popular auteur, more appreciated every year. Yeah. I think mostly because Severin has released a bunch of his stuff. So that's another one. Everything we've done has done well enough, and people have seemed to appreciate it.
Chris, any thoughts from this year? Any other questions on the catalog?
Okay, so for anybody that likes like Hammer movies or classical horror, but is okay with a little bit of darker content, I can't really recommend Girl Slaves of Morgana Le Fay enough. Like, I think it's got that mood. It's very focused on the vibe and the mood of those old kind of classic horror films. Obviously, the subject matter is a little more extreme than a lot of them, but beautiful movie though, and the 4K, it just looks incredible. Like, I think it's such a perfect example to me of how the content of a movie can sometimes overshadow the fact that the quality of it is equal to anything that was produced in that year, like whatever year it came out. I can't remember, but like, I'm sure if you didn't have any morality attached to your viewing of like, oh, this is extreme content or whatever, I think that would have been up for awards, and that would have been a movie that's spoken about very highly, because it's just a beautifully shot film, and it's interesting, and like, I don't know, it's a film that should be celebrated, I think, a lot more.
I agree entirely. It is definitely one of the best movies overall that I think we released this last year, and a key film in the whole Mondo Macabro discography. That's something that predates even Mondo Macabro. Pete's dealing with it. Pete Toombs. He released it on VHS and maybe DVD through his Pagan label in the UK in the 90s, and then on DVD from Mondo Macabro in the 2000s, and now this new 4K release, and is one of his personal favorite films. So that's very close to our hearts collectively as Mondo Macabro, and the movie is just, it's a dream. It really is. I mean, it has a lot of sort of that gothic 70s gothic
is the word I was looking for. Yes,
right,
thank you.
Right. But it kind of takes that gothic feel into a dreamier territory. Yeah. I think, and that's why it might have, I mean, there's lots of naked ladies and maybe some whippings and things like that in the movie, but it never feels exploitative or salacious or cheap or trashy. And I don't have anything, I love cheap, trashy, exploitative films. I do. But there's just something about its sort of almost meditative quality. Yeah. And maybe some people might think, oh, it's sleepy or it's slow, but I think it's dreamlike, like the best of Jean Rollin, which it sort of sometimes a little bit unfairly gets compared to, just because they're French films from the same era and they have like ladies in see-through gowns wandering through castles. So maybe it is kind of a lot like Jean Rollin, but it has its own feel. It doesn't quite feel the same. Jean Rollin is one of a kind. And Girl Slaves of Morgane Le Fay is, I think, one of a kind.
Yeah, I think so too. And the other one I want to try to point people to, you mentioned it, but just to put a little more context around it. So there's an Argentinian guy, speaking of Argentina, who ended up directing a lot of movies in Europe and Italy and Spain, named Leon Klimovsky. He's just a super fascinating guy. And I think I Hate My Body is such a cool movie. And one that the deep dive on who Leon Klimovsky is and like his career, he's just a dentist that loved movies and then ended up having this like amazing film career. Like it's just a cool story. So I would say that for going back to that discovery process, whether or not you love the movie I Hate My Body, although I think anybody that watches it will like it a lot, it triggers that piece in the brain of like, oh, this is an interesting guy, a guy directing movies in Europe called Leon Klimovsky. Who is this person? And then it just kind of, his story is way more interesting than even the name. And anyways, it's just one I wanted to call out.
No, and I'm glad you did. I'm a huge Leon Klimovsky fan.
Sure.
He's one of my very favorite directors of the sort of classic Spanish horror boom era.
Yep. Sure.
All the movies he did with Naschy are just phenomenal. They're, one or two. Because he was just churning stuff out. I mean, he was not a poet, but his movies often, at their best, have a sort of poetic quality to them. Werewolf Shadow is something that is, again, sort of dreamlike. I think I can overuse that metaphor of movies being like dreams, but it's an apt comparison, I think. And his films are as well sort of dreamlike. They feel like, with what do they call it? The hypnagogic state. Like it feels like when you've watched a movie that it's something that you just imagined on that cusp between being awake and being asleep,
Yeah.
And you're right. His career is interesting. He was an interesting person. Obviously a family who I can't remember where they came from. Were they Ukrainian Jews or something like that? His family?
I don't know that detail. Maybe I should, but
because there were a lot of Eastern Europeans who migrated, especially Eastern European Jews who migrated to Latin America in the early part of the 20th century. I think that was his story. And you're right, he was a dentist. And started working in the Argentinian film industry. And if anyone has seen any of that, there's been some really interesting Argentinian films from like the 50s and 60s that have been released or restored in recent years. And nothing that he did, I don't think, but he was sort of part of that same milieu that was active. A very robust film industry in Argentina. Yeah. And then when it became less robust, is when he went to Spain. And obviously had a lot of success there. Like I say, one of my personal favorites from that era. So I was very happy. I mean, we've released a couple of his films. And, I think Severin has got some stuff out or coming out by him. So I'm really glad that he is getting represented in this era right now.
Big time.
One thing I love, especially about labels like Mondo Macabro or Deaf Crocodile or some of the more obscure, like some of the newer Criterion stuff even, is some of these films that you'll see like on Letterboxd, where all of us that love movies, most of us are on Letterboxd to some degree at least, and you'll see a film go from, I don't know, like 850 views on Letterboxd to a physical media release coming out, and within 3 months suddenly it's at like 2,500, and you're like, oh, this is incredible. Like people are discovering great movies. And it's even more true for those smaller labels like Mondo Macabro and Deaf Crocodile, because many of these films, people have never heard of before. And I, just as a special moment on the podcast and the year, wanted to shout out some of these that specifically were because Mondo Macabro affected their cinema. And now you guys can respond to those. So this first one is by Letterboxd user Tamotan, Tamotan. And it says, it has been just over 2 years since I watched Bohachi the Villain. And I learned that there was another film starring Tetsuro Tanaba. I've wanted to see Bohachi Bushido, Code of the Forgotten Eight, ever since. And thanks to the Mondo Macabro recent Blu-ray release, I finally have. This film is wild, colorful, packed to the brim with boobs, and has some crazy theatrics to it that are delightful to see on screen.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? Wall to wall boobs. Yeah, in that movie. Well, boobs and sword fighting. What more? And drugs. Yeah. Yeah, so, that's great. I'm so happy that we could provide the experience, the opportunity for him to see that.
Yeah. A couple more for Bohachi Bushido. This one's Sergeant Sixpack. A first-time watch off of the Mondo Macabro Blu-ray release. Great exploitation samurai that delivers the goods from beginning to end with gore, lots of titties, great photography, and great editing. Definitely worth a watch. I'm sensing a theme about this movie.
I think so, yeah.
But let's go into the true stuff. Jeremiah, I really like this one. If this was how my city enforced their fire suppression policies, I would 100% become an arsonist. You will never be disappointed in a Mondo Macabro blind buy. I thought that was a very nice comment at the end.
No, yeah, that's great, and I definitely hear that. I hear that a lot. People will be nice, people will say nice things like that about us. That it's we're one of the few labels that they'll just sort of blind buy anything from, which is what we go for. Since a lot of the stuff that we do is very too semi obscure.
Yeah. And then the other one that I've been recommending all year, and yes, I am putting my thumb on the scale a little bit because these two titles, Bohachi Bushido and Eva Man Double, are my two favorite releases from Mondo this year. And so just a handful of things from this. Josie, shout out to Josie, says, ultimately, this is a movie about how trans people are the key to world peace, and some fucking dudes have a problem with that. While this is very much of a time and place and an exploitation film at its core, it's always nice to see trans women just hanging out and having a good time, even if it's in small pockets throughout.
And that's true. Yeah, because I mean those movies are. I mean, you just have Eva Robbins and Ajita Wilson. There's scenes of them just like hanging out by the pool and being sexy,
Yeah.
and why not? And why fucking not? And absolutely true. Yeah, they are the absolute key to world peace. If we would just listen to beautiful trans women more than solve the world's problems.
All three of us tend to like pink films. Jared, do you know about the two in the Pinku podcast? You know Dakota and Chris?
I know Dakota. Yeah.
So shout out to Dakota and Chris because they also picked up the Eva Man double feature. So Dakota said about the first film, Eva Man, the future is trans, the cast is beautiful, the music is great, softcore and sex painted in such disco panther possibility and glitter. I also love the T4T of our two icons. Mondo Macabro continues to be that instant pre-order, like we just said. And then Chris, the other host of the Two in the Pinku podcast, she is a disco panther. Eva and Ajita are iconic. The new Blu-ray from Mondo Macabro is stunning.
Yeah, and that brings up one of the other things about Eva Man that I love, because I love disco music. Yep. And that Disco Panther song is amazing and is in both the films. That's a double feature. That's Eva Man and The Return of Eva Man. And they both have the same the same like scene of her singing. I think one is at the end and the other just puts it right at the beginning or something like that. But the song is wonderful. And so, yeah. And good thing, I think I shared that Dakota review on the Mondo.
Possibly. Yeah.
Dakota's a really interesting guy. His work on Roman porno and pink films. I haven't listened to their podcast yet, but I follow. He's one of the more interesting people on Letterboxd that I do follow.
Agreed.
His reviews are really, really good, and he's turned me on to films.
Yeah.
And maybe even some films, hopefully, that we might be able to release someday, although I haven't had much luck yet. But Never know.
And then Eva Man is a double feature, so I did want to highlight one thing from Return of Eva Man. Max Ren 82, Ren is RENN. One aspect of these that we don't get to cover so much, so I wanted to highlight this. This is available as the second feature to the original film Eva Man on a loaded Blu-ray release from the folks over at Mondo Macabro. Huge thanks to them for not only restoring both the films, but releasing them with multiple interviews, essays, and audio commentary in the first film, and even a short film by Antonio D'Agostino, and that's Metamorphosis. And it is nice to see supplemental features called out. Nice to see appreciation for things like the audio commentary, and specifically the audio commentary on Eva Man is incredible, bringing on two individuals that are becoming literally like the iconic voices on trans films. And
yeah, they were. I saw them both on TCM recently.
They introduced one of the films.
People that have hosted on TCM and done a commentary for Mondo Macabro. It's fantastic. I hope there are more. I hope that is a continuing trend. But no, and that's another thing about no release that we've done in probably the last few years has as many great supplemental features as the Eva Man thing.
And I should call out the names too. That's Willow Caitlin McClay and Caden Mark Gardner. Incredible commentary. Well done.
Yes. Great, lovely people, and just did a bang up job with that commentary. Shout out to my pal Ian Higby too, who did the video essay about the history of the director D'Agostino.
Absolutely.
Great thing. That was, I believe, his first sort of shot at doing something like this. And hopefully he gets other opportunities for us and for other people too. He did a really bang up job. And just one more shout out from that release, their interview with Eva Robbins itself is fantastic. Is one of the best like interviews we've had on a disc. Is just as far as like, I don't think she's not been on any other discs before. So it's just to have her perspective on this and talking about the movies, and she's however old she is and still looks fabulous. It's so exciting to have her on this. And that's what the whole package, the whole Eva Man package, even if the movies are admittedly kind of slight, they're basically European sex comedies, but they're full, they're just action packed, and there's weirdness.
Fun.
And then the whole package of both films plus all these supplements. I think it honestly is probably our best release of this last year. I think I would vote for it as the best release that we did.
I mean, you also were able to pull off the greatest heist of the last year and get labia on the front page of Facebook.
Thank you. Take quite a lot of pride in that.
It's just a woman's dress. What do you mean?
Yes, exactly, Chris. There's no labia there whatsoever.
As someone that can empathize with Jared, where both of us have had accounts get fully pulled down because of nudity for like release cover work or trailers and all this bullshit that this online censoring has turned to, I think it's hilarious that the Eva Man poster art was, I don't know about you, for me, never flagged even once on any social media.
What's really funny is that the alternate cover, which has just little cartoon boobs with little like dot nipples on it, they took it down. They they absolutely slapped me down and were like, you're under review, and if you do any further blah blah blah, you'll be suspended or whatever for that. And having a pussy right there on the fucking cover. Big old pussy.
It goes to show that the engineers behind these algorithms have never seen a vagina. That's all the evidence you need.
That's it. All a bunch of goddamn virgins.
Chris, aren't you glad you don't have to fight any of that censorship bullshit ever?
Yeah, right.
I've felt bad for Jared so many times where he's like, well, I did post the trailer. You can never see it now, but I did.
Yeah. That's constant. Oh my God, don't get me started. That's the constant thing I have to deal with. And I at the point now where I have to tell Pete, you just don't put the tits and the dicks in the trailers anymore. But we want the tits and the dicks in the trailers because that's what people are coming to see.
You can't do like the Red Band trailer. Those doesn't exist on YouTube anymore.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at YouTube. We were on Vimeo for a long time, and then out of nowhere, they just started hitting us. and they didn't give us any warning. They hit us a couple of times and then just completely took us down. I think it was the Sex Apocalypse trailer. Which, I mean, it was, I mean, there was some stuff.
In the grand scheme of things, that sentence was just very funny. I don't know why we got censored. I might have been the Sex Apocalypse is one of the best things ever stated.
Yeah, it was the Sex Apocalypse that did us all in. Yeah.
Well, we all have a lot to look forward to. One thing that we can all look forward to is Halloween sale packages arriving. So why don't you tell us about that coming, Jared, which you immediately got a little sad about?
What are you talking about? I don't. No, I know. Yeah. I mean, we sort of have a reputation for the Halloween stuff not being on time. Completely earned. Although I will say throughout the rest of the year, we do great and we don't usually put stuff up on sale until it's ready to go.
Right.
And so there's not that much wait. It's just however long it takes me to get them in, send them out. Sometimes, a month, maybe 2 months at the most. The Halloween stuff is different because it's an event. We do a Halloween sale every year. We want to have the big year-end lineup of films.
Right.
They always tend to be a larger lineup of films, bigger projects, and all of that. UHD, all of that equals more complicated. So there's always issues that arise, even when we think, "Oh, now these are going to be easy. This is all done. A lot of this stuff is done." Well, that's of course not. I mean, that's turned out, to be. They're all. There's been endless troubles. There's almost nothing went smoothly. A couple of things have gone through no problem. They're in fact ready to go. Essentially, we just still need to get some stuff printed for them, the slipcovers, booklets, etc. Some other things are proving difficult. Some restoration issues, some disc issues. But we're working through that. And so the long and the short of my little spiel here is that it's probably not going to be till February at the earliest that things will start to ship. We may get a couple of titles early. We may probably just go ahead and have a couple of things in stock, and I will just send those out to one of them is the Mystic Symboli, Queen of Black Magic. That's had no problems. That's going to be done. It was the best-selling title from this last sale.
Wow.
So by far, we sold out the 1,500 within a few days or whatever. And that one's fine. So I will probably get that in. I might get that by the end of January. And I will probably start sending out orders that I can. If they just ordered the Mystic Symboli plus whatever else happens to be in stock, I will ship those out. And then wait for the others. And then when everything is in, that's when the bundles will start to go out. And again, I start at the beginning and end at the end, So I start with the earliest orders and end with the most recent. So it'll take a good 3 weeks to a month,
right,
to get everything out. But everything is being worked on. There's no. I say, because it stresses me out, but I kind of pretend it's terrible. It's a nightmare. It's awful. It's actually things are more or less in hand. There's just a few questions that a few things we need to get ironed out, and the discs to actually be finished authoring. And then we're clear. That should be done by no later than early January. So there it is, folks. You can come at us all you like. Again, Halloween titles are going to be late, but hopefully it won't be like April, which has been the case before. So it won't be like that.
26 people did pause the podcast and start cussing, but I think we're going to be okay.
yeah, right. I know. And as soon as this gets out, and I'll send out a newsletter too next week at around the same time this comes out, and I'll hear about it. But the thing is most people are going to be cool about it. Most people are going to be nice, because our fans, I think we have the best fans in the biz, the most understanding. There will be people, because there are always people who will pitch a fit or say something snarky. oh, Mondo Macabro is always late, which is not fucking true, as like I just said. But but what are you going to do? You can't do anything about that. So we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
If anybody wants to complain, send them the link to the VS Discord. We'll straighten them out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If anyone wants to complain, I have a list of other labels that are also really late. That more than a year late or so.
Well, and I guess I should ask: has any of the major industry problems been a problem for Mondo this year? Because I know manufacturing has been backed up for quite a lot of the manufacturers around the world. There's been art problems. There's been shipping problems from China. Tariffs have been a problem this year. There's been there's been a couple in manufacturing. Some of the I know Severin, I think TerraVision were affected by the same layer printing problem where a couple of their discs were just fucked when they went to reproduction. Do you know about any of that, or has it affected Mondo at all?
We might be dealing with something like you've just mentioned that we're trying to figure out. Overall, I don't think it's hit us that hard. Things are a bit pricier than they were this time last year.
Yeah.
And our replicator, it took a little bit longer on maybe the last batch to get everything done. But that's it. It's not. I don't feel that we've been hit too hard with anything like that. And again, knock on wood. Because we're coming down to the wire, and we're putting more stuff. And then this next year we'll have a sort of increased output, hopefully. So we'll see how it goes if we kind of run into some of those problems.
The other thing I was thinking about was the 4K manufacturing has been behind on a lot of titles. There's not a ton of plants, I guess, that do 4K reproduction, and some of those have been months behind for even studio titles. That's why some of these larger studio 4K discs have been delayed after their initial print run.
Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Jared, do you you teased a couple of months back that you would not hate the idea of another box set in the future. Have you all been thinking any more about that?
We don't have anything really currently that we're content. We've done multi-film sets, but more just sort of putting them in a case and a sleeve, putting in a slip cover. As far as an actual box set, we do have an idea. We're talking to a licensor. We've licensed some films from them. They have some other films that we're continuing to talk to them about and need to get more information. There's a set of films from this one licensor that would go together well as a box set. That would maybe be a neat thing to do in a hard case box set, sort of like the Bollywood thing that we did. Not quite as revolutionary as I feel the Bollywood horror box set is, but a neat collection of films that I think would be fun to do. So we'll see about that. That is all, pipe dreams right now. That's all just, I take an edible and I think about what I want to do. And that's something I fantasize about all the things I want to do. And that's one of the projects that's like that. So
as one does.
Yeah. As one should on Sunday afternoon. Like I do.
Well, we have some things that are less of a pipe dream and more of a sure thing. What do we got going on in Mondo Macabro world right now?
Yeah, well, after we sort of get through the Halloween stuff, which is still, we're actively, I'm sort of waiting on stuff to get done. Mostly I'm done. I will help get some stuff printed, but that's about it. But once we get through to that, we do have a very rich and ambitious lineup of films for next year. So possibly we could have as many as 15 releases next year, which is a lot for us. And I say that now, and probably sometime in the summer we'll record another episode, and I'll be like, that didn't work out. But we're going to try. We're going to really try and make this a robust release year for us. So probably at least every pre-order block will have at least 3 titles.
Wow.
And possibly maybe 4 every time. So we have a lot of stuff. And what the really fun thing is that a lot of it is going to be completely new to disc stuff.
Amazing.
Not reissues of. We do have some reissues. We do have some upgrades of some stuff, some older stuff, but only a handful. And there should be. Let's see. I'll just take a quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to 13 possibly films that have never been released in any format in the US.
Wow.
Jeez, that is exciting.
Yeah. And stuff that's really, really off the beaten path, about as Mondo Macabro as you can get. And some of it, a lot of it actually fairly like kind of the weirder side of international art house. So that's sort of a thing we sort of want to explore a little bit more.
Amazing.
And are. So I'm really excited about our lineup of films this year. One thing that I think everyone should know is Black Magic with Buddha we're doing.
Yep.
So I think everyone sort of knows that was originally going to be a Halloween title from this year, but it just wasn't anywhere near ready. And then we thought, well, maybe it'll be hopefully like a February, March title. No, it's not going to be ready then either. It's the restoration work is ongoing. The guy who does the label Le Chat qui Fume, the French label,
The Smoking Cat.
They are doing the restoration of it, and that guy does like 15 releases a month or something like that.
Yeah,
he has this incredibly prolific output.
Wow.
But so we're sort of waiting on him to finish, and we also have another project that we're working on with him. That I'll keep quiet for now, just for fun. But that project is, as I think I've hinted before, is a Pete passion project, a PPP. So that'll be really exciting. Those will probably come out at around the same time, and we're hoping about the springtime, April or May.
So am I hearing right? You're going to pitch a new sub-label for Mondo Macabro that you're going to brand on the side as PPP, and every single one will have very specific new like responses from Pete of him holding.
What's funny is that there will be another. It's currently on the Halloween. It's currently on the schedule for Halloween. Another title that is a PPP. It totally is. It's like something he's wanted to do for literally like 30 years. And I was happy I was able to bring that to the table. It was a licensor I was talking to and saw it on a list and like flipped my freaking lid and then brought it to Pete and he like blew his lid. It was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Did you capture that video for the special features of?
I should have.
Reaction shot.
Yeah, no, but it was Pete, so it's a very polite, contained enthusiasm.
Just stoic saying, delightful.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Well, that's just wonderful. Pete doesn't really sound like. I mean, you've all heard Pete now because he's been on the show. No, he doesn't really sound like that. That's just my bad English accent.
When I hear about multiple European or the wilder side of art house cinema coming out, and I hear you talk about a box set coming out, I'm assuming that you're working on Der Fan 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Are there sequels to Der Fan?
I don't know.
Mondo original production.
Why not at this point? Why not? Yeah.
It's sort of a superhero origin story, right? There could be.
I'll tell you guys this. This is a slight bit of news. We are trying to do The Fan on 4K.
Oh wow!
So we're not there yet, but maybe 2027.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, this is all exciting. Any specific titles that you want to call out?
Let's see. I think I can reveal a few things. So like I said, we're released mostly new to disc stuff, but we do have some upgrades that I'm excited about. One is The Blood Rose. So if anyone knows that film, that we released that on DVD, it's a Claude Melot film. We also released his film Sins of the Flesh. But this is a sort of a very, again, sort of French 70s gothic horror thing. So again, sort of like Girl Slaves or Jean Rollin, it has this wonderful dreaminess to it. But it's also very trashy. It's very also has a bit of a Franco-y vibe to it. In fact, is directly descended from Awful Dr. Orloff, which, is then directly descended from Eyes Without a Face. And it has a very similar sort of, skin grafting sort of plot, but it goes in very weird directions beyond that. Are you guys familiar with that one? Have you seen that? Did you just catch up with our DVD of that one ever?
Yes, I know I have. In fact, you're listing all these other things. One of the things that reminded me of the most in a couple of the scenes specifically is much more modern. Pedro Almodovar's The Skin I Live In. All of those kind of similar ilk and storylines. Yeah. Yeah.
It was just a thing at the time. It was something in the air in those like 60s and early 70s. Yeah. They loved that plot,
Well, and skin grafting is such a, like, if you think about it, that's kind of a crazy concept. And we're just like, yeah, this is normal. Let's just.
And now it's completely normal now. Yeah. But it's the idea of it is very skin crawling to me. Like,
no, totally. In fact, can we go on record on saying Blood Rose is a direct influence on Face Off?
I don't know if I'll go on record as saying that, but sure, why not? Let's go for it. Yeah, why not?
Well done, Chris. Blood Rose, solid title to not just upgrade, but like get back in the mindset, because that DVD. I don't even remember what year that was released. That's been quite some time at this point.
Yeah, I think that would have been maybe 2006, 2007, 2008, nice. Somewhere around there.
And you'll still have somebody complain and say, just re-releases. God damn it.
I know we will. Yeah. I know. Hopefully not, because I think that will be in the first pre-order block that will happen in 2026.
Nice.
Hopefully in late February or early March. And it may be as much with 3 other releases, and so 4 releases with possibly 5 films throughout. Wow. So, and all of the other films will be completely new to disc, including one I think I can talk about, a Spanish film called Morbo.
Nice.
If anyone has ever released it, I think on Letterboxd, what do they call it? They call it Morbidness, which I don't know if it's actually a title.
A bad title.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone has ever actually used that title. Maybe that is Morbo. That's just what that directly transliterates to. But this is a Spanish film from, let's see, what was it, 1972, with Hollywood character actor icon Michael J. Pollard.
Oh wow!
From Bonnie and Clyde, some other stuff. He's in For the Apocalypse. A very recognizable face. I remember seeing as a kid. I remember him from the Steve Martin movie Roxanne. He's in, which I saw in the theater as a child.
Nice.
But it's are you guys familiar with that one? Have you ever seen it before?
Isn't this the movie where there's something like they're in a forest or they're in a van or something, and like
yes.
the bride gets obsessed with somebody who's potentially like voyeuristic with them?
Yeah. It's a very odd vibe movie. It's sort of a slow burn.
Okay.
Not as much of a horror film exactly, although it does have that sort of horror, sort of Euro horror vibe, gothic vibe to it. A film that I might compare it to, not exactly in terms of plot, but in sort of the setup and the feel, is the Australian film Long Weekend.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
So if you know, one of the best Australian films ever, but that sort of a couple goes to a secluded location. And in Long Weekend, it's sort of a nature goes amok kind of thing, in its own very weird sort of way. And that's not really what is happening in Morbo, but it has a very similar vibe. And I think if you're a fan of that film, you will get something out of it. you will get something out of Morbo too. It'll be something interesting. I really, really like it a lot. I think it was first watched it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and was on my short list for favorite discoveries of the year.
Great.
Wow.
So yeah, really, really great, interesting movie. And again, don't think anyone out there who hears this wants to correct me, but I don't think I don't know if this ever got even a VHS release in the US.
Jeez.
So it's certainly not a DVD and certainly not a Blu-ray. So
that's always
again,
exciting. Bruce
Holochek, if you're out there, you always know that stuff. You can write me and then I'll put out a retraction or an apology. But I don't think it's ever had any big release. So
right.
That's a cool one.
That's great. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Morbo to look forward to, a couple upgrades. There's some exciting stuff.
And I'll talk about a couple of more. Just real quick. Towards the end of the year, and this is actually another upgrade. Don't come at me. This is a cool one. Another upgrade that we're planning on working on. The plan right now is for it to be part of the Halloween lineup in 2026. We'll see how that happens. But we are going to do a double feature set with the Pakistani Dracula film, Living Corpse, Zinda Lash. Also with the original Mondo Macabro production, Hell's Ground, from 2007, which features the same actor. What was his name? Oh, gosh, now I can't find it. What's his name? I can't find it.
Are you talking about Kunwar Ali Rashan?
Yes, possibly. He plays the Dracula part in Zindalash and Living Corpse, and then he's also in Hell's Ground. So I'm really excited about Hell's Ground because this is something that was his original Mondo Macabro production, but Mondo Macabro never released it. It was sold to a different company. It was on DVD for a long time, but that went out of print, and that company retained the rights for like 15 years. But I think they only released gay porn after a certain point. TLA, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, just in case I'm absolutely wrong and they don't release gay porn.
Either way, the speculation's fun.
Yeah. But yeah, it's sort of, so it's been in limbo for a really long time, and it's sort of like bringing it home. So the guy who found Zindalash, found the print of Zindalash, which is from the 60s, is Omar Ali Khan, and is a longtime friend of Pete's and Mondo Macabro in general. And he directed Hell's Ground, or Zibakhana, I think is the Urdu title. And Pete is the co-writer of the film and produced it, Pete Toombs. So really excited to bring that home. And it's a really fun little film. And I love, Living Corpse isn't a masterpiece by any means, but it is a lot of fun. And if you like the Bollywood horror stuff, it's very much in that vibes. It's a little less like it was made in the 60s, so it's a little bit more conservative in how it tackles things. Although it was absolutely a hugely controversial release in Pakistan when it came out initially. So that's a release I'm really, really excited about. That's a very bring it all back home kind of Mondo Macabro.
Yeah, definitely.
This is one that I cannot wait for. This is a title that I've long talked about. I love the DVD on this one. Yeah, absolutely good title.
Yeah. It should be fun, and we'll have Omar as part of the extras, and it'll be a lot of fun. Again, the plan is right now for Halloween. We'll see if that happens because we still need to get Living Corpse restored. So we'll see how that goes. But that is the plan right now. And if it doesn't happen until 2027, then I will also now have revealed a title for 2027. So
incredible. We'll know something ahead of time. Kind of like a Black Magic for Buddha that we've known about for a while.
Yeah, we've known about it for a while now. Yeah.
All right. Any other teases? Anything else you want to drop some hints on? Anything
I'll
coy?
mention one more, and that I want to talk about just because I really, really love the film, and it's the thing that I'm most excited about this year. Is a film from Hong Kong called House of the Loot.
Ooh.
Yes.
From 1979. Are you guys are you familiar with the film, Chris?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's not super well known. I had heard about it for a few years. I have a strong interest in the Hong Kong New Wave, the films from the 70s and early 80s. And I've actively wanted to release more films from that era. And I didn't see it. I saw it 2 years ago, and it did make my top 10 discoveries list from that year. Really cool, sort of class-conscious horror thriller with a strong erotic twist.
Simon Yam is the lead, right?
Very, very young Simon Yam. Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe his first part in a feature film. I think maybe he did TV work before that. But if it wasn't his first film, is one of his very first films. And he's very baby-faced in it. He looks very young.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of what's that guy's name? Johnny To's favorites, right? He uses him a lot.
He's in a ton of and has been in John Woo movies and just lots of Category 3 films.
Right.
A very robust career and still works today. So we're gonna try and see if he'll be interviewed for our release. I don't know if we'll get him, but we're gonna try. So that's something I'm really excited about. I've always wanted to do more Hong Kong films for Mondo Macabro. I think we've talked about that before, and I've sort of lamented the past, how it's sort of gone. But now we've got Black Magic with Buddha, House of the Loot, and an unnamed third one that will also be coming out next year. An interesting thing. In fact, that is the other PPP that I was mentioning, Pete's Passion Project. So an interesting film also from the 1970s that we'll be doing. So
I can't wait for Blu-ray.com to make PPPs an actual thing into the lexicon.
You could call them Pete's Peepees as well.
Pete's Peepees. He may not appreciate that. I don't know, but I say let's do it. Why not?
All right, lots to look forward to in 2026. Been a robust 2025, seemingly even bigger year. Anything else, gentlemen, that we want to hype up before the end of the year?
I don't think that. I just, I'll take this opportunity just to say thank you to all of the core Mondo Macabro. I mean, everyone. If you've bought a release of ours ever, thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everything. I love you. I want to come to your house and lavish kisses upon you. Okay, no, I won't do that. I promise. But I am very appreciative of everyone who's been very supportive over us, over the last few years. And thank you. And hopefully you guys are going to stick with us. I think the whole weird movies on Blu-ray market might be shrinking a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not going away, and we're not going away. So hopefully you'll hang with us. We've got a really great year coming up.
Well, I'd even argue it seems like we're kind of on the verge of a resurgence. I know that's a kind of a cliche to bring up as somebody that loves physical media and we're all working in the industry and all that stuff. But I truly think with this, like the Netflix and Warner Brothers bullshit this year and more of like the corporatized feeling of you're taking our films back from us and we can't ever access the movies that we actually want to see. I feel like the tide is, maybe not turning fully, but I think it's becoming more of a, like, at least visible problem that people are solving this way again.
Yeah, I think that people are realizing, having a sort of an epiphany about the value of physical media. The value, not in like a monetary term, but the value of preserving films for yourself,
right,
in a physical media copy of the film. I can tell you, it's completely anecdotal, but my sister-in-law, apparently, who's just a normal, person, she works, she's got a corporate job, she's just whatever, but like, she's not like, one of us, one of us, but she apparently asked my wife, her sister, about like, what does she recommend about getting a Blu-ray player? and that she was interested in like, oh, if there's a movie I like, I want to buy a copy and own a copy. Now that's completely anecdotal, but I mean, I think that's interesting that just has come up just now, especially after all this stuff about Netflix and Warner Brothers and, you know, all that stuff, you know, and this concern that everything is going to streaming. Except it won't all go to streaming, you know? So, I
mean, not to get into a huge discussion right at the end of the podcast, but I think one of the most interesting things that happened was when Netflix first started, they were the place where all these movies would have gone.
Right.
Like they were the library. They had everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they were a physical media company in a way. I mean, you know, they started out sending out goddamn DVDs, you know?
Yeah.
So funny that, you know, they might actually, you know, herald the death of physical media, which is not going to be the case. It's not going to be the death of it. The thing that worries me the most is if the technical aspects get pulled out from under us. If the makers of like they just stop making machines, that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, I will be most worried if we ever have like a shortage of players or everybody stops manufacturing them. That's the biggest thing. And I mean, we're at the point where you know, the long running myth of there's only one plant in the world that produces Blu-rays in Mexico has long been dispelled. There's still like a handful of people that say it as if that's true, but I have a feeling we're about to see more of those manufacturers pop up, not less. I think we're truly seeing, and not just for any of these niche companies. I mean, studios can't keep up with demand right now. That is a crazy, like, encouraging sign, even though it's terrible if you want those movies because it's frustrating. But I mean, Amazon has slipped on pre-orders for almost everything, and we've had releases delayed because there are so many discs in production that people can't keep up with the demand. We can't see 4K releases put out on time because they're so far behind. That's a good thing for the long range of the hobby, but in the immediate, it's going to be like some theoretical growing pains, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely seems like there is a growing interest out there. And like I say, I mean, some of it might be anecdotal. It's just, oh, I know this person or whatever. But it's hard to argue when certain big studio releases sell out or it's hard to find copies, you know, ahead of time. So it bodes well for the future of everything. And I'm one of those people that's very much like the health of everyone is the health of everyone, you know.
Yeah.
If we all need big, huge things to be drawing people in.
Yeah.
We need the big studio releases. We need the big, you know, we need Vinegar Syndrome and we need Arrow and Criterion putting out lots of stuff and putting out big films to draw people in, and then we can sort of be swept up in that wake. Hopefully. That's sort of the idea. And that's just overall, you know, we sort of all rise on that same tide, you know.
Yes.
Hopefully.
I agree. Well, Jared, thank you for your time. Hopefully you have a great holiday season. Hopefully Pete is doing well. Pete and all of his PPs are just exciting and well and healthy. I can't wait to see what's all coming in the new year. And Chris, thank you for your time and attention to all of this, even though you are slightly frozen on the stream right now. I hope all is well, and if anybody is needing anything out there, reach out. This whole thing is a community. Anybody that we can help bring more enlightenment on any of this, that's what we want to do. The whole podcast here is to share the love of this specific label, and we're looking to do some more things in the new year with it. We're already scheduling our next episode, so we cannot wait. We will see you in the next one.
Merry Christmas to you guys, too, and Happy New Year, and to everyone who's out there. And we'll see you in 2026.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description